Welcome back to the First Team. I'm Joe DeLeone, and with me is my co-host, NFL draft analyst Ryan Roberts. Today we're talking two of the top tight ends in the 2025. God, I forget what year it is these days. 2025 NFL draft for summer scouting.
It is the year 2024. I mean, so you're not completely wrong, but yeah.
I should be better than that. Colston Loveland from Michigan. Jake Brenningstool from Clemson. Not a guy that's in that top conversation, but you and I are very high on him, so we're going to be breaking down both of these guys on today's episode. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and drop a comment. Let us know what you think about these two players. Colston Loveland, though, Ryan, has been an early darling of the class, a guy that has been brought up, I think, pretty collectively as a elite prospect. Not going to be on that same trajectory as Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is in a completely different generational bucket that we're not going to touch here with Colston Loveland. Background that you got on this kid, I know he's from Iowa, so he's got a very unique background where he's coming from.
Incorrect.
Idaho.
Iowa? Yeah, I was about to say he's from
Yes.
Idaho. Yeah. It's funny, man. I think we're starting to see more Idaho players start to pop up a little bit. There was Gatlin Bear in the 2024 class, the wide receiver that I think ended up flipping to Oregon. He was originally committed to Boise State. He was a top 100 kid. Colston Loveland was a Gooding, Idaho kid who... It's funny. I actually went back and watched some of his Huddle highlights, Joe. He played linebacker. He played wide receiver. Like, he's just kind of that dual threat kid. He was also a very, very good basketball player at Gooding as well. Set program records his senior year, 91 receptions. He had 19 catches in one football game as a senior. 19. That's just an absolutely ridiculous number. Had over 3,000 yards receiving, 35 touchdowns. Again, was a really standout linebacker for the team as well. Recruiting rankings were a little bit split on him. There were two with 4-star rankings. I think 247 Sports had a 4-star ranking, and I believe also On3 had a 4-star ranking. So ESPN and 247 Sports, or actually, no, I'm sorry, 247 had one. So Rivals and ESPN had 3-star rankings on him, but he was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Idaho, in obviously a state that doesn't produce a ton of talent up until this point, but obviously Colston Loveland is the next big thing. He also has a brother that plays NAIA football for what it's worth, and he's only 20 years old, so he'll be just turning. Will just be turning 21 years old in draft season. He's an April 9th, 2004 kid, so he'll be 21 the day when he's drafted this year.
So the thing that's going to get hyped up with him and why he leads the pack right now, I think for most tight ends, height, weight, speed, very, very rare combination that we're going to get with a kid like this. To get it out of the way, not much of a blocker. I think he's willing, but not really going to be a guy that's going to scoop you out, drive you out. They had AJ Barner for that. So they don't need Colston Loveland to do much blocking.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we haven't talked about Colston Loveland other than just him being really smooth and being able to get in and out of his breaks really well. But yeah, man, the blocking did leave a lot to be desired, did it not? Like, it's not a situation, because he's pretty good on screens. Like, they use him obviously split out a lot, and he's able to, do a good work there, being able to stay attached in space. But as a inline guy, it's kind of lackluster right now. Like, it's just very average to below average. I mean, again, he gets his body in proper positioning, but he just doesn't have incredible power in his frame for that right now. And it could be because we're talking about a kid that was just a true sophomore last year, right? So we'll see if the power profile takes a step forward. He obviously has the frame. I mean, he's listed at 6'5", 245 pounds. So he has the frame to be able to play a lot more inline and be effective inline. But you are drafting this kid because this kid is about as clean of an athlete in and out of breaks as you are going to find, man. He has some high upside as a route runner, because he is just a kid that has incredibly flexible hips, able to get in and out of cuts very well. I mean, whether he's matched up in the slot against a linebacker, safety, or corner, he can create separation, man, because he's just really clean on those transitions. Straight line speed is good. He has the ability to play above the rim, and he's got some after-catch ability to him, man. So his explosiveness, there is flexibility, there is big-time upside as a route runner. I mean, I think, Joe, that you could line this kid up inline, obviously, as a wing, detached, play him in the slot, play him out wide at times, and I think he can win as a route runner, man. I was really impressed with the route running chops that this kid brings to the table.
Yeah, we're drafting this player as a receiver. We're not drafting him to be an all-round, well-rounded type of a kid. This isn't a TJ Hawkinson. This isn't going to be somebody who steps in with a general profile. And even Brock Bowers was somebody who fell into this capability to do both things at a quality of enough level that you could know that he will provide some juice in the run game. But you hit the nail on the head there. Long speed's tremendous. I was really impressed with how easily he moves in and out of his cuts, like you talked about. Like him moving in and out on his routes is what allows him to create such easy separation against a lot of linebackers and some safeties that are not as fast as him. I think that this is a guy who's probably going to run in the 4.5s, 4.6s at the NFL Combine. He's very, very clean linearly, and he accelerates very, very easily. First round pick, man. Like I don't think that there is much reason to overthink this. Right. I understand that you would desire for him to be a better blocker if you're going to take a prospect of his caliber in the first round, but I've got a late first round grade on him, early second right now on him, and he could be a day one high impact player because of how good he is as a receiver.
I have a similar grade. I have in a vacuum a high second on him, 7.8 on my scale. But anyone that knows just kind of how these preseason rankings work, I mean, there's a little bit of a give and take either way there, right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a late first, early second round player right now, and that isn't even counting the progression he could have in 2024, which we're anticipating him having. Top 20 player in this class for me right now, Joe, was just kind of looking through my big board that I have assembled so far. Top 20 player. I think this kid's just very clean as a wide receiver prospect. Like he extends, he plucks, he runs great routes. He's a good athlete. I mean, we're talking about a kid that as a pass catching weapon in the passing game, it's just kind of easy, right? It's kind of easy. Yes, I would want him to be a little bit more of a proficient blocker. I'm interested to see what that looks like this year because, I mean, Michigan tight ends have blocked over the last couple of years. I mean, you talked about AJ Barner. I mean, I even talk about like Eric All that they had before. Like they've had some guys that had no issue blocking in the running game. So can he take a step forward because his head coach is Sharon Moore, who is a offensive line coach. So clearly he values blocking and they do a lot of it because they run the ball at a very high tick. But I think that this young man he is my tight end one right now. I do think that there is a tight end or two that could be at least in the conversation if they have massive rises, but I do think he's the clear tight end one right now. If not for Brock Bowers playing college football last year, even though he was limited in some capacities, Colston Loveland was the best tight end in college football other than Brock Bowers when he played last year. So clear evaluation, young player, very high upside player, and I think you hit one nail on the head that I think that this is a kid that's probably going to run 4.6 flat, give or take a couple hundredths of a second there, right? Like this is probably a 4.58 to 4.62 type of athlete. But again, the most impressive part is that this isn't just a straight line athlete. This is a kid that can get in and out of breaks. This is a kid that can run routes. I can utilize him in a lot of different capacities and a lot of different usages and a lot of different roles to the next level. And I think he'll be very, very tough to stop in any of them.
Right. It's not easy to find these big tight ends, and he's a big kid. He's listed at 245. That's a huge
can I say
a lot of weight. Go ahead.
Can I say one? Here's my take on Colston Loveland, and this is going to cause some uproar for some people. Okay, this is who I believe that people tried to make Dalton Kincaid. Okay, and Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, well, we don't need to go back on Dalton Kincaid, man. Like
but when I say the description here, a guy that is a attached or detached problem maker in the passing game because of how fluid and athletic he is and how quickly he accelerates out of his breaks. That's what we tried to make Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid was pretty solid as a rookie. Like he did a good job. I didn't dislike Dalton Kincaid as a player. What I'm saying is that if you liked Dalton Kincaid, maybe this is a better way to phrase it. If you liked Dalton Kincaid in the 2023 NFL draft, you should love Colston Loveland because they are similar-ish players as far as how they function.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts.